How bizarre is that? It's totally bizarre. The most recent one was after the earthquake in Haiti. I knew Hugo Chavez was going to be up 2 days later screaming about HAARP, which is the High Active Aurora Research Project. It's up in Alaska and other domains around the country that modifies weather. It's the main program for weather modification. I mean, how in the world do you know that Hugo Chavez is going to start screaming about HAARP? It's just, these things happen. So it's like you see things coming down the pipeline before they come. And it's been that way since I've been a child to a certain extent. I was always an idealist, but at the age of 12, I joined Amnesty International and started writing letters to Robben Island, which is the prison that Nelson Mandela was imprisoned in, and then about every other month, I'd send a letter, and I did this for years and years. The entire time I was doing this, I thought, I'm going to see this man free. There's nothing to worry about. I'm going to see him free one day. This is not in vain. So my mom would keep taking letters to the post office, and letters to Turkey or here or there. And you know, the year I graduated high school, he was not only free, but he was touring the entire world, and I saw him standing in Tiger Stadium. So what we have to realize about the evolutionary curve is that I'm not here to predict the future. I'm only here to the extent that I can see into the one mind that we're all playing into to get us somewhere, because we are evolving. We're constantly evolving. Nobody in this room would probably wanted to have been alive 1,500 years ago. Probably would prefer your life today. And there's some in this room that believe that we've evolved through all places of time, shifted throughout all dimensions. Truth is, to whatever extent, we're all in this room today. So what can I talk about in terms of the predictiveness of where we're headed? That's the most important thing. So the talk is called The 5 Principles of the Coming Golden Age. Okay? So that you have a greater idea of what I mean by Golden Age, let me talk about just about 6 periods of time that we're sitting in right now. This is 2010, but this is one of the most combustive periods in all of evolutionary human history. And we're sitting on top of ages evolving and coming. So right now we're at the end of the Industrial Age. In the West, we're at the end of the Industrial Age. And you can see that through the end of manufacturing, jobs that have been there and consistent for the past 50 years to 100 years, some of them. They're gone. We don't know if they're ever going to come back. I mean, I can tell you, they're not. But it's all because we in the West are at the end of the Industrial Age. Are we at the end of needing to manufacture? No. Are we at the end of everything? No. But we are living differently as a society now. So while those jobs may be overseas, we in the West are at the end of it. It's collapsing. And it's affecting a lot of people differently. It ultimately is going to lead to liberation. But that requires that we actually talk about money, which we will in a minute. We're at the close of the Piscean Age. So for people who do any kind of either astrological, zodiac work, or even work that's in the old Hindu texts, even the very oldest Christians believed in these age periods. We're at the end of the Piscean Age. Now the Piscean Age is the age where you capitalize on every resource that you have. To the point right now where we've depleted the globe of basically all natural resources, and we're down 17,000 miles below the Earth's surface, which is what's just happened. It's not to critique it one way or the other, it's to say that we're at the end of the gathering of resources in that way. Now the other thing that is the worst aspect of the Piscean Age is that people live off your work. They live off your burden. You work for their benefit and they give you something. Okay? So and that's actually the very worst trait of an actual Piscean. That's the far extreme even of that sign. That's the far extreme. That's how that operates. But the Piscean age, you have been at work for at least 250 years, really probably 1,000, to benefit the same structures that take everything from you today. Okay, so that's the close of the Piscean age. You are within Western Christian mythology that's popular today. You are essentially at the close of what most born-again evangelical or fundamentalist Christians, which in this country, at minimum, is about 250 million people who believe some variety of that. Almost all of those people have been directed for the past 100 years, even 25 years, to believe you're at the end of Revelations, the last days. I'm not here to say whether you are or not. I'm saying that if 250 million people are proceeding down that path, something, Armageddon-like, is posited in works or is part of your mindset. You're at the end of what a lot of you have heard in terms of Mayan calendar. The original date that people thought was 2012, it's actually in December of 2011, which is the actual close of the Mayan calendar. And I saw a good bumper sticker on the back of a car the other day. It said, 2012, the end of an error. And so, of course, it made me think, well, what's the error? You know, I think I have some answers. Now, some of the oldest recorded spiritual texts in the world are those of the Vedics, okay, which is what Hinduism, the different V-E-D-S-E. The Vedic texts, which are some of the oldest texts that we know of that were found in Hinduism. There's something very interesting in these books. And what they say is the end of days, which is the close of time as we know it, comes when man manipulates weather with weapons. He uses weapons to manipulate his own weather. In the Vedic texts, it's Armageddon type scenario that it puts out for you, which is like that in Revelation says. When y'all start using machines to manipulate your weather, that's the close of time. Okay? Now, I have researched all these, thought about all these, and I think something very different is happening. And I think that what we should consider is that we're opening into the epic golden age, which in different estimations is 1,000 to 2,500 year projection into the future of where you're headed. It's written about in a lot of these texts that I just previously mentioned, especially the Vedic texts. It was in a lot of the early Christian texts. Okay, not the ones that made it into the King James Version, but it's written in a lot of the other texts. It's the opening of a golden age, which is the beginning of the dawn of a new man. Okay. Now, I was raised by evangelical Baptists. My father became saved when we all started going to church, and I remember being like 9 and just thinking, this is maybe not who I am, but I know it's who they are, but it's not maybe who I am. And so I was searching really, my whole life to understand where we're headed. And I never walked away from Christianity. I just had to let it start speaking to me. Not having everybody who's Christian speak to me, but having whatever Christian impulse is real come back and speak to me, not in that mode of fear that I was raised in, not in the you're going to hell, but just let this come and